Welcome to Practice Admin Scheduler Training, View Schedule tab, Appointments. If at the completion of this training you have additional questions, please email support@practiceadmin.com and we'll be happy to assist. During this training, we will cover appointment scheduling. We'll cover making appointments, adding new patients for making appointments or looking up existing, canceling and rescheduling appointments, and discuss some other options in the system. Okay, let's begin by going ahead and scheduling a new patient appointment. That can be accomplished one of two ways. You can either take your mouse and double-click under the provider schedule on the date and time. So let's go to 11:30 today. We're going to double click and it's going to pop open an appointment details, add new appointment window. The advantage to this is that it will go ahead and default in the 11:30 time that you double clicked on, and it will also default the provider that you double clicked on under their schedule. Next, we can either look up or we can add a new patient. We'll go ahead and add a new patient at this time. The minimum information that's needed to add a patient into our system is last name, first name, date of birth, and gender. Certainly, if you have additional details, you can go ahead and fill them in: the email, social security number, address, phone numbers. Don't worry about the account number field. Based on the setup of your practice, if the system is automatically assigning account numbers, that will pre-fill automatically once you save this new patient. So we can go ahead and click the Save and Close button. You will get a pop-up if you did not add in a social security number. It's not a mandatory field, so you could just click Yes, and your new patient information will be populated right here. All right, next, as we're moving down, we can go ahead and select the facility that the patient is going to be rendered services at. We have additional fields here available: the PCP and referring provider. Currently, those don't have anything entered, but as those databases are built up, you would have those options available to go ahead and attach the PCP or referring provider to this patient. Next, we would select our appointment type. Go ahead and select New Patient. We have appointment reasons. That's an optional field. It's not required. The 30 minutes has defaulted in here based on what was set up for this new patient appointment type. Certainly you can override that. So if this was only going to be a 15-minute appointment, or if it was a more complicated patient case, you could extend the time. And the status is going to automatically update to pending, and you can also manually override the status as well. All right, let's look over some of the tabs at the bottom. You have your Appointment Notes tab. This is where you can freehand appointment information that's collected from the patient. So anything that you need to type in here, keep in mind this will show up on an encounter form or on your printed schedule. Next is your resources. So if you needed to attach a resource to this patient appointment, you would just check the box. You'll be able to see future appointments, past appointments, if this patient's on the recall list. And then lastly would be your patient flags. This would be any kind of notes that were made over on the billing side that can also be seen here on the scheduler. So once you've filled in the required information, which would be either looking up or adding a new patient, selecting the facility, selecting the appointment type, then you can go ahead and click the Save and Close button in the top left corner. If you have any type of conflicts, those are going to show up down here at the bottom. Conflicts with the provider's template on this date and conflicts with the facility's template on this date. If you agree that you're going to go ahead and schedule at this time, you can override these conflicts by checking the box and then saving once again. Okay, now we have our appointment made. So once your appointment slot has been added in, it's going to show up like this. You've got the letter P, which stands for pending, which is the status of the appointment. You've got test, which is the patient's last name. And then you have new patient, which is the appointment type. We also have all the way over here to the right an eligibility notification. So depending on the information that's been added in for the patient and if eligibility has been run, this E could be several different colors. Orange usually means, or this yellow means that there's not enough information. Green means that the patient is eligible, and red would mean that the patient is not eligible. And certainly that's something we'll get into more detail in future trainings. Next, we can take our mouse and hover over the appointment. We're going to get this pop-up box. It's got a lot of details in here that are going to help you talk to your patients as they're standing in front of you or over the phone. At the top, you have your appointment type number, the facility and provider that the patient is going to have an appointment with, and then the date and time that they're scheduled for. Next is a section of information. The next section is the patient phone numbers and balance information, date of birth. It'll also list their insurance, but certainly that depends on what has already been entered for the patient demographics. Next would be your appointment type, the reason, length, appointment status, and copay. You've got your eligibility results. And at the very bottom of this pop-up box is your appointment notes. All right, so instead of just hovering over the appointment, we can also right-click. And when that happens, we have a bunch of different options here. So we can edit the appointment. If you edit the appointment, it brings you back to the original appointment details, and you could change any information in here and then resave it. You could also cancel the appointment from in here. We'll go ahead and just X out. We'll right-click again. We could view the history. So that would show us the saving a history or status changing history of this appointment. Each time that it's any changes are made, you will see the date and time and who made the changes. Next, we can go ahead and view the notes. This will allow you to read your appointment notes that were made, and you can also add on. All right, you would save and close that to keep those changes. Next, we can go ahead and change the status. So we'll come down here to the large selection of boxes. The default is pending, but we could certainly, once the patient comes in and they're ready to be seen, we could mark them as patient ready. What that's going to do is change this little P was a P, it'll change it to a PR. And certainly the more you use these status changes, the more information you'll have to report on. Certainly if they no-show or cancel, you want to go ahead and use those options. And at minimum, you'll want to make sure that at the end of their appointment, once they've been checked out, you go ahead and mark them as checked out. Now, if you did use this cancel option, it would go ahead and remove this patient from the schedule. However, they would not be removed from the history of the scheduler for this day. So through reports, you would still be able to backtrack to this patient so that you can follow up and reschedule their appointment. Right here, this reschedule is the option of actually taking the appointment and rescheduling it for a different date and time. So we would do a typical left click with our mouse on reschedule, and then let's go forward to tomorrow's date. Now we can use the mouse to right-click, and we're going to select the option with the patient's account number to move it here. You will get a confirmation to confirm that you are moving it from Thursday to Friday. You would say yes if you agree. Again, if you have any warnings, you're going to need to check those boxes again and then click the disk to save and close. It's going to pick up that appointment and just move it from one day to the next. So now we have our appointment moved here. And again, we can look and see under the view history everything that has happened. Okay. Now if we use the status of canceled, so let's go ahead and cancel this appointment. It will require you to select a cancellation reason. And this is a database that you can build up. So certainly these are the defaults that are in here from us, but you can add to the list. Now they're gone from the scheduler, but if you click this appointment list, this is a different view, and we can see down at the bottom we do still have this patient listed, but they're marked as canceled. This appointment list is just a different way to look at all the patients that were scheduled for this particular date. And you do still have the same ability to right-click and update the status or edit the appointment, things like that. Alrighty. We could go ahead and print our schedule once we've got those appointments in there. Another way to go ahead and add in a new patient appointment, let's go with the other route, would be to click on this New button in the top left corner and select New Appointment. And now we can look up or add new. Let's go ahead and look up, and we can use our same patient. Select the patient that you want to schedule. All right. And now it's going to need to, again, fill in your facility, your appointment type, your appointment reason, which is optional. Your length of time is determined by your appointment type. So this time we are at 15 minutes. And then we're going to go ahead and save and close. Any conflicts? Save one more time. Now we've got our patient appointment again. What we can do with this patient appointment is we also have a feature called a recall list. And if this patient is unable to schedule a follow-up appointment before they leave the office, what we can do is go ahead and double-click on their appointment, just like we're going to edit it. And up here at the top, we have a schedule recall option. Go ahead and click on Schedule Recall. It's always going to ask you, do you want to save any changes first? Say no. And now what we're going to do is we can select what the appointment is that they're going to come in for next time. Select about the date that they need to be seen. So if we're looking at 2 weeks from today, we can select the due date. And then you would again click your Save and Close in the top left corner. And now if we click on this Appointment List button, we can look here and it organizes by month and year any recall appointments. So now we have one recall appointment listed at the bottom. We can right-click and we can use these different statuses to track what we've done to contact this patient and get them back in the office. Ultimately, what will happen is if you're able to get in touch with the patient, you would just double-click on their pending recall. Now you can click the Schedule Appointment button at the top. Again, you don't need to save any changes. It's going to default your appointment type and the date, and you can look in this little scroll bar to the right to see what's happening on that particular day and go ahead and change their date and time to what will work best. Okay, so 10 o'clock looks open, so we'll go ahead and use that time. And now we click the disk to save close. We check off any conflicts, and we save and close again. The conflicts that you're seeing are happening because this particular account is a demo account, and we have put in some templating. So ideally, when you've got the templating and everything set up on your system, you won't see as many of these conflicts. The last step is you'll get a pop-up that will ask you, do you want to go ahead and update the status of this recall appointment to scheduled? You say okay, and now the appointment will be removed from the recall list, and the appointment will be scheduled on your regular scheduler. So now the recall list is empty. You, of course, can look back through our reporting to see any recall patients as well as the resolved recalls. To get rid of any boxes that show up down below, you just click on the double arrows to minimize that information. One other thing I wanted to show you is your patient lookup. If a patient calls and needs to know when their next appointment is, you could go ahead and click on the patient lookup button, search using these fields, select your patient, and it gives you this box down at the bottom. You can see their future appointments, you can see their past appointments, recalls, and patient flags. And to navigate to that patient appointment, you could always right-click and click the edit, so if they needed to make a change, if something's come up. You could also cancel the appointment from here or change the status. Okay, now that covers the basic appointment making ability of our scheduler. And at this time, we'll go ahead and complete the training. Please keep in mind, if you have any additional questions, you can email us at support@practiceadmin.com, and we'll be happy to answer your additional questions. Thank you.